Greetings, magical mavens. Welcome to part 3 of my winter solstice decorating series that we're apparently doing here in vlog form. So in previous episodes, we have done those trees. We will actually be revisiting those trees because they're currently a cross between fall and winter, and we're gonna make them a little bit more wintry. We've also done my altar over here in the last video, and today we are finally getting to this tablescape. Funnily enough, guys, for the past several days I've been sitting down at this table for meals and saying it's the last supper at this tablescape, and then I keep not doing it because other things keep coming up. So we're gonna do it. And honestly, kind of like I was saying with the altar, I think part of the reason why I haven't gotten to the tablescape is because I have been unclear on what I wanted to do with it. Like, I was very excited about working on the trees, and I'm also very excited to move on to some seasonal crafts like making a winter wreath and some winter ornaments and maybe even a garland. But I'm gonna make myself do the tablescape first, and then the other extra crafts can kind of be a reward for my good behavior. So just like we did with the altar, I'm just gonna start by cleaning this tablescape up, and then it'll be a blank canvas, and then we will go from there. So let's make some magic. Oh yeah, and don't mind that disaster back there. We will be getting to that. I'm not gonna promise that it's gonna be in this video, but we will see. All right, so keeping sort of in tune with this idea of keeping things simple, because my word for the year of 2022 has been simple, even though lots of things got very complicated. I digress. We're gonna keep this simple by actually leaving some of the basic elements. This leaf could pass for like a fall maple leaf or something, but it could also pass for an ivy. So I think I'm gonna leave that guy alone, possibly reuse it in the next tablescape. This thing I think I'm just gonna fill with more wintry types of florals, and I'm gonna just kind of clean the table off a little bit and just start piling on to this basic plan that we already have going. So as you may have seen in the altar video, I like to just lay everything out on the floor and decide which items I might use in the current season and which items I definitely won't, and then sort of put things away or keep things out from there. So actually the fruit I think is relatively seasonless, even though this kind of fruit really does make you think of fall. These are fake, by the way. Even though this does make you think of fall, we also continue to try to keep fruit around through the winter. And even in, traditional styles of decor, you still see fruit for like Christmas and stuff. So we may or may not use that in the tablescape, but I'm gonna keep it out in case we need it for anything. These little weird apples, I think I'm actually going to turn into ornaments. So stay tuned for another video for that. Now, these stylized pumpkins can definitely go. Let's go ahead and put those aside. These are actually real apple leaves from when I went apple picking, and I kind of stuck them in with those. And what I'm noticing is that these actually have very durable leaves. They're quite thick, and as you can see, they're like very durable. So I might actually try a craft where I gold leaf these and turn them into ornaments. Again, in a different video, but stay tuned for that. All right, this pumpkin, is it out of season? Yes and no. I think this is out of season to be out and about in my dining room, but I do have a pretty consistent harvest vibe going in my kitchen. And since this is white as opposed to orange, I think it's probably going to stay somewhat in use, so I'm just gonna move that to the kitchen. This orange foliage can obviously go, but if I could separate it, this red stuff right here is separate, and I think I'm gonna probably continue using that. These napkins are gonna get totally disassembled, but I think I'm gonna keep that and just put it away for next year, this sort of little bundle situation that I have going on here. If I can get that out in one piece. And yeah, we're gonna take these apart. Yeah, I'm not too sure what I'm gonna do with napkins for the current table, but this under piece, which by the way, it's not even a napkin. This is actually the same burlap from the hardware store that this tablescape is made out of, but we like to get crafty here. These napkins are not for using, they're purely for decoration, so we're gonna keep those out and put these away. Fun little fact though, this is a sort of magical object. This was a thrifted skirt that I believe was from the 90s that I wore all throughout my 20s, and I absolutely loved it. For me, it was kind of a representation of the summer as well as the harvest Sabbats, and I would always wear it on those days, but it just got very threadbare. But I couldn't give it up, so I kept the fabric and turned it into these sort of faux decorative napkins, but those are gonna go away for the season. All right, so to prepare the table, I do actually eat in this spot. No one ever eats there. I don't know, every once in a while my partner or my sister will sit there, but typically this is the only side that gets used. And so there are usually some crumbs. So I just like to take everything apart, make sure it isn't dirty. If there were actual stains on this, I would wash it. But for right now, I'm honestly just gonna shake it out like a rug because it's not dirty. I eat very neatly at this point in my life, at least. So, and then I like to take my little besom broom and just give it a goodly little sweep. All right, so we've got our tidy blank canvas here, and it's time to decide what I'm gonna be adding. Obviously, we're just gonna be going for some winter florals in there, so I can pull those out. And I don't know what else I want to do. I do think that I want to bring a little bit of red in here, just because I did bite the bullet and put a little bit of red on my altar. And I think there is still going to be some red on that side of the room. As you can see, if you look at the fixtures, like the actual things that I have in here, red is not a color that's ever normally included. It's usually a lot of blue, but these do have some red on them, which initially was kind of one thing that I didn't love about these, but I've just always loved these paintings, so I got the prints of it. But what is kind of a blessing in disguise is that during seasons when I do want to bring some red in, there is some red in these paintings that I have all around the room. So we are going to tie some red in here. I don't own a lot of red things, but funnily enough, I have a sneaky suspicion that the same fabric that is on this headband and this skirt, I also have an extra piece of fabric. So I didn't actually make this skirt. This is a vintage wool Scottish kilt that I do believe was designed for women. It was gifted to me by someone who was getting rid of some old clothes of theirs, and it used to be much longer. So I know you guys usually see my upper body in videos, but I do not wear like midi length skirts. They're just not attractive to me. I only wear mini or maxi skirts. So I actually rehemmed the skirt, used some of the fabric to make a matching headband, and I'm very sure that there is more of this fabric somewhere. So let's go on a little quest to find it and see if we can use it in this tablescape. So as excited as I am that I have seriously reorganized my office / studio and there isn't junk everywhere anymore, and I've gotten rid of a lot of things I didn't need, and I fit just about everything I own craft supplies wise into that closet, the sad truth, you guys, is that the final boss is this massive pile of fabric. I need to really go through this and get rid of stuff because let's be honest, when I move, I am not taking all this fabric with me. Like, I don't know if this properly portrays the size. Size comparison, it's larger than I am. We need to get in here and see what is usable. So this thing I think I'll probably use. It's just like a sparkly white thing that kind of makes me think of snow, so that could be good to use. The good news is that I did organize this somewhat by color recently, so there should be a section in here of red stuff if we can find it. There we go. Haha. That wasn't too hard. All right, what is in here? If all else fails, I mean, I suppose that could be useful, but I don't really like it. There's some actual Christmas fabric in here. This looks like a bandana. So yeah, I don't actually even know where some of this stuff came from. Someone gave me a lot of what is in this pile a few years ago when I thought I wanted to use a lot of fabric, but I don't think I can use it all. So I've just been kind of sorting through it as projects come up and seeing if there's anything useful. This could be useful as well. Again, I don't love it. I'm hoping to find some more of this. Wish me luck. This is actually a pair of pajama pants that was like a hand-me-down, and I got lots of new pajamas, but it is a really nice fabric. I bet I could use this for something. I don't know what, but I'm gonna put it aside for I'm gonna pull it out for the season. Dang it, I don't think what I'm looking for is in here. And I had a feeling it might not be, because honestly, it was just like a large strip of this fabric that was kind of in the shape of a scarf. So I might have put it with my scarves. Let's find out. All right, guys, I'm having one of those moments with myself where, like, does this happen to any of you guys, where sometimes, like for example with that pile of fabric where it was organized by color, and I'm like, yes, thank you, Past Fura, you totally had me covered. I'm so grateful that you've gotten everything organized and figured out. You're doing great. And then when I don't find what I'm looking for, then I start trying to get back into my past self's brain to understand what I could have possibly done with this thing. Now, I only made this headband pretty recently. Like, I think I wore it in a video for the fall, and I had just made the headband, and that strip of fabric had been sitting in my office/studio near the sewing stuff for months and months. Now it's just mysteriously disappeared. So it can't be too far away because I just made the headband, but I searched up there where I keep my other scarves and things. It wasn't in there. I searched around the sewing stuff. It wasn't there. And now I'm like, what did I do with it? Meanwhile, he's just sound asleep for the rest of the day while the human runs around and does crazy stuff. I'm even gonna check my clothing closet. Like, there's a possibility that it could be on this weird hanger where there's other random little things, but it's definitely not there. That is the sort of downside of having completely reorganized my office, because now I don't remember where I put some things. You guys, do you see what I see? We found it. Oh man, the joys of reorganizing. There we go. Oh my gosh, I've been like wandering around for the past half hour looking for this. Jeez Louise. So go figure, guys. The second I found the one thing that I was looking for, I realized there's another thing that I'm looking for that I don't know where it is. I had some really cool fabric doilies that I just don't know where they are right now either. So I'm just going to make the executive decision to start with these paper ones for now, and then when the other ones turn up, I can just switch them out because I don't want to waste any more time looking for stuff. And let's see what kind of foliage we have in here. We've got another one of these little mini garland thingies. We've got these little picks. I think these might come in handy. There's this really ugly sort of tinsely thingy, which is probably going to get repurposed into something where it's less noticeable how cheesy that looked. I actually got this in 2020 when I really wanted to add more garland in my house, but I couldn't find any of this garland for a reasonable price. There must have been a shortage or something. So I just ended up getting this crap, and I will use it for something, but probably will not have it on display as is anymore. There's a bunch more of these little picks. All right, these things it is. So I have a feeling what I'm gonna end up doing, don't worry, this will be decorated in a future video. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is doing a very similar sort of fruit bowl as to what I had before, but we're gonna have it with a lot more pine type stuff. So let's borrow this container of pine cones for the moment. All right, so this is what we're working with. Uh-oh, gotta get this away from him. He likes to use this as dental floss. All right, guys, let's get into it. All right, I think it's done. I really like how this turned out. It was completely unplanned. I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do with this, but by just sticking with the basic layout that I already had and just adding some seasonal things, it worked out really well. And that's part of what I really love about creating seasonal traditions, because to be perfectly honest, I had never really done a tablescape until last year this time, and for the past year I have had this sort of new ritual of doing a new tablescape for every season, at least the 4 seasons, if not the 8 seasons on the witch's calendar. And we learn as we create traditions what works, what doesn't necessarily work for us, what we like, what we value, what makes us feel aligned. And we're able to create templates and shortcuts to make things easier and more fun next time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to close out the video with a nice little aesthetic tour of the details of the tablescape. Enjoy and blessed be.